Hey everybody, White here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a video of abysses. And so abysses are probably the easiest, well, certainly not the easiest, but they're probably the most effective way for a player to earn wealth without having to put anything in. Tombs, you have to pay for keys, same with trenches. Wine cellars, you need to use an ink, but abysses, you can just kill a Medusa, and there's a decent, I think around 20% chance that it'll drop a portal, and you can go into an abyss. Now, knights are my chosen class for abysses, mainly because I don't have a paladin. I think I'd rank paladins just to be a bit better than knights, simply because they can permanently buff themselves while running through the dungeon if they have a decent pet, or even mana pots, just to cover up the mana that they lose from using their seal. So while paladins may get the attack damage and healing bonus while going through, they are a bit easier to kill. Knights are very tanky with their ridiculous high levels of defense, and so they're able to pretty much steamroll through the dungeon. Now you'll see my strategy for abysses is sort of a pseudo rush. While I don't like to go balls to the wall all the way through, no stops on the train, I do like to go at a relatively quick pace and often bypass mobs, but at the same time, I don't want to go too fast because then I risk dying. Now I have lost quite a few maxed melees to abysses, so I am a bit more prudent than I may need to be. Even as such, it's still a very dangerous dungeon for maxed characters, and it's pretty frequent that you might see someone die. Now when you finish getting through the bulk of the dungeon, you will happen upon the boss room, and the boss room contains 5 or 6 white demons, which, unlike the native sprite gods, use the same drop table as the Godlands god, and so they have about 2%, I believe, chance of dropping an attack bot. Following that is Malphus. Now Malphus has 4 phases, but usually you only see the first 2 if you have a high enough damage output. He's very vulnerable in his first phase and then shrinks down and he becomes vulnerable again, with a part of invulnerability in between. Now you can see the stats I just put in the top left there. In 1 hour of abysses, I went from 404 fame to 457. I accumulated about 30 pots, as well as getting no UTs. Although white bags are pretty common because you are killing a boss that drops them pretty frequently. Usually it takes around 2 minutes to get through an abyss. Now, pretty good abyssing strategy is to always head up. The reason being that treasure rooms can only spawn up from a room, so they're statistically more likely to occur the higher that you go up in the map. Now, Malphus himself can be a tricky boss if you are alone. You should always clear the white demons just to be safe, but if you do like to play with fire, then you can just rush straight for him. Here you can see a white bag, and I had a couple strings of good luck. While I didn't manage to get any treasure rooms on my night during my recording session today, I did have some stream footage that involved abysses on my priest. So while I did have some trouble finding an abyss, in that first one I did get one of the 3 treasures, the golden ribcage, and in the second one here I will be getting another treasure, the golden femur. The third treasure that drops from the abyss is the golden skull. However, it's much more rare, and I don't think I've ever actually gotten one as a drop. So Malphus goes down really quickly in groups, and you can effectively just ignore the white demons, although you should still be careful because it is an easy way to lose an 8-8. I know from experience. I recently lost my knight that way. So here we have an example of the treasure room. Now I was doing this abyss with the paladin, so it's pretty easy if you have more than one person. However, things can get pretty hairy if you're alone. The big yellow shots that he shoots out of the corners paralyze you, and getting paralyzed in a pool of lava that he creates is no fun. Now you can see that the lava at the entrance to the treasure room didn't disappear, and that will always mean that there's another treasure room somewhere in the map. So instead of rushing to the boss, I go look for that second treasure room, and indeed, I am rewarded by finding it, of course. So the big reason that a lot of people do abysses is for the Demon Blade, and the Demon Blade is a great weapon. It is the highest DPS of any sword, and it makes warriors do the most damage out of any class in the game. So I hope you've learned from this episode of 5 Minute Guides, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.
WHYTE